Hello friends, the new update on the situation in Ukraine in this vlog. On April 11, Parliament of Ukraine adopted a law number 1044-9 of January 30, 2024 in the second reading. The name of this law is on amendments to a certain legislative acts of Ukraine on certain issues of military service, mobilization and military registration. Although it is more appropriate to call this law the Mobilization Code, since it introduces complex, comprehensive changes to dozens of other laws, and the comparative table of this law consisted of 1643 pages. The adoption of the law on mobilization marks the ongoing transition of the war, of the Russian-Ukrainian war, to the next stage, total war. That is the maximum concentration and inclusion of all of the country's main resources to the conduct of hostilities. The process of objective development of situation of the war of attrition. Because without strengthening the mobilization legislation, Ukraine will not be able to continue the war with such high activity as it is now. The new wave of mobilization is a part of agreement between the country's military and political leadership, as well as Western allies. Only by ensuring in legislation and implementing new mobilization measures can Ukraine receive a package of military and financial assistance, which will allow the country to hold out, maintain the balance and integrity of the front until the end of this year, when the elections in the United States are over. And yes, the adoption of this law means that there will be neither peace nor elections anytime soon. Otherwise, strengthening mobilization would be meaningless or would be dangerous for the authorities. The tactical target of the new mobilization law will largely be young people aged 25-27 years. Let us recall how in March of this year, Senator Lindsey Graham, representative of the Republican Party, who visited Ukraine, called for sending more young people, Ukrainian young people, to the front and quickly passing a mobilization bill. The law on mobilization adopted by Parliament actually strengthens and more thoroughly regulates control over those liable for military services. Earlier, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Alexander Syrsky, assured that additional troops on the front line could be provided by transferring rare personnel to the front. But, as we see, the authorities did not dare to send internal rare units to the security forces to the front. Apparently, it is on them that the state will mainly rely during the war. People's deputies also excluded the demobilization provision from this bill. The issue of demobilization will be determined and worked out in a separate draft law. The timing of its consideration is not yet known. The demobilization of those who were at the front from the first days of the war was one of the main expectations of the military and the promises of the authorities on the eve of the introduction of this mobilization bill. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Alexander Syrsky, proposed adopting demobilization as a separate law, sending a special letter about this to the Minister of Defense, Ruslan Bortnik Head. In general, the new commander of the armed forces of Ukraine, Alexander Syrsky, demonstrates his willingness to take political responsibility for the unpopular mobilization, unlike the previous commander of the armed forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhny. This is one of more reasons for dismissing of Zaluzhny. Let us recall that the mobilization process in Ukraine was launched under significant pressure from the Ukrainian military leadership. They have not yet received the mobilization deadlines, and Western partners who constantly hinted that the level of military support could be suspended if mobilization measures were not strengthened. Now that the mobilization law has been adopted, the Ukrainian leadership is counting on increased assistance from allies. In particular, the most important in this regard is the adoption by the United States Congress of a funding package for Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan in the amount of 95 billion United States dollars. 60 of them which intended for Ukraine. While behind the scenes bargaining with the White House is going on in the United States regarding assistance to Ukraine. Speaker of the House of Representatives Johnson said that he would change the conditions for the allocation of the assistance. It could be a loan, confiscation of Russian assets as a compensation, or something else. Overall, Johnson's team has not yet provided a final draft plan or something like this about this help for Ukraine. There is also excuse me, friends. There is also a problem with the Trump's team, because Trump's teams also make a danger for Johnson to make any agreement with White House because the Trump's high and hard struggle with Biden on presidential election. And if the Johnson will go to any agreements with White House, Trump's team in the Congress dangers him to dismiss him from the position. So there is no terms, no dates about new military package for Ukraine. At the same time, in Ukraine, there are a lot of rumors about the changing in the position of the high commanders. The prosecutor general of Ukraine, Alexander Kosin, may be dismissed from his position, like Minister of Internal Affairs Igor Klimenko. For the position of Igor Klimenko came the nowadays head of Special Investigation Service of Ukraine, Vasily Maluk. At the same time, at the front, the Russian Federation continues its offensive in 12 local directions, slowly pushing Ukrainian troops to the north and west from Donbas and Zaporizhia front. The Russian armed forces are trying to develop their main offensive in Donetsk region. A particularly difficult situation for Ukrainian armed forces is now developing in Bakhmutsky direction near the town of Chasov Yar, and in the Avdiivsky direction near the settlements of Berdychi and Umanskoye. Russian troops have almost come close to the eastern outskirts of Chasov Yar, near the Canal micro-district, advanced noted from the side of the village of Bogdanovka and from the side of the village of Ivanovsky. Chasov Yar is a commanding head in the region. The capture of this city opens the road to the other main cities of the region, Konstantinovka, Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, for the Russian army. Using her advantage in aviation and the massive use of gliding flying bombs, Russian troops significantly advanced to the west in the direction of the village of Umanskoye as well as the southern part of the Semenovka. To the north of the city of Avdiivka, Russian troops advanced towards to the settlement of Novokalinovo. To the south, in the Mariinsky directions, Russian troops attacked the settlement Krasnogorovka and entered to the city. This week, some media outlets published detail of the new peace plan. It is allegedly being promoted through the moderation of a Turkish president, Recep Erdogan, and is an initiative of the Turkish side. Maybe all three parts, Turkey, Russia and Ukraine, allegedly have the text of the document at the moment, but no one of them confirmed it. The draft of this peace plan is based on the documents from the first negotiation in Istanbul, and some of the wording of the May 2022 were included in the new text. The peace initiative can be supported by a number of European politicians and states, and it will also be offered for support to individual countries of the global south. The draft agreement assumes the next provisions. The first is the mutual obligation of the United States and Russia to not use nuclear weapons under any circumstances, as well as a renewal of the strategic arms limitation treaty, and with the impossibility of unilateral withdrawal from it in the future. The second, prohibition of interfering in internal affairs of other country in any way that might destabilize its government. The third, freezing the war, Russian-Ukrainian war, along the existing front line. The fourth, commitments to hold referendum in 2040, and two referendums in 2040. The first one is a national-wide Ukrainian referendum on the country's foreign policy. The second, the referendums under the international control in all Ukrainian territories annexed at the time of the freezing of the war by Russia. The next provision is guarantees of Ukraine's non-bloc status until 2040. Exchange of prisoners according to the formula all for all. Russia also does not object to Ukraine's accession to the European Union. But the likelihood of adoption of this draft treaty remains low. It is likely that Russian Federation will seriously consider, it is unlikely that Russian Federation will seriously consider any proposal for a peaceful settlement this year. Putin, most likely, will direct all his efforts to obtain a strategic defeat on Ukraine at the front, or at least to catch together as more Ukrainian territories as he will may. In order to maximally strengthen his negotiation position in the dialogue with the new administration of the United States President after election in November 2024. The Russian Federation no longer agrees to negotiation on Ukraine on the basis of the Istanbul Agreement as stated by the press secretary of the Russian President Dmitry Peskov. He said that the geopolitical situation is now different. As for position of Ukraine and the Western partners, given the problem with United States funding and the depletion of weapons at the front, Ukraine and Western countries are now interested in achieving some kind of truce or frozen or lowering the level of the conflict. Both in Europe and the United States, electoral processes are taking place, which leads to an overload of country system, and at the same time European military-industrial complex are unable to meet all needs of Ukrainian army. For example, if the situation on the Ukrainian fronts will be unfavorable, it will make a definitely implication in the elections of Joe Biden or the election in Europe Parliament. But even in this situation, we can hardly talk about the signing of any specific document between Ukraine and Russia. Currently, Ukraine is seeking to organize a large summit of Switzerland on the peace summit on the peace formula of President of Zelensky. This plan, according to the representatives of the Ukrainian authorities, should be the only one option for implementation peace agreement with Russian Federation, not only from Ukraine, but also from all Western allies of Ukraine. And alternative peace initiatives from Turkey, China, or Vatican create certain difficulties or even dangers for this process. This week, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived on an official visit to China. According to its results, Lavrov supported the Chinese settlement plan, Chinese peace plan, which, unlike the Ukrainian plan, provides for a ceasefire along the front line without the withdrawal of Russian troops from the borders to the borders of Ukraine in 2013. Thank you, friends, for watching this vlog, and if you like it, please subscribe for this channel. Thank you, friend. Have a peace. Bye-bye.